So what do you think these guys have in common? If you know it, give me an answer down below. But it's gonna surprise you, and most likely it's gonna piss you off. And we're gonna talk more about these guys later on in the video. Hey guys, I wanted to welcome you back for another Alaskan shopping trip. And today's shopping trip, we are going inside a mysterious Walmart location, which has a seemingly dark history to it. Now, this store right behind me, it's called the Midtown Walmart. And here is actually rated the third highest shoplifted store in the entire country of all the Walmarts. And that's incredible. It may not be the third highest in the most shoplifted store in the country, but out of all the Walmarts, it comes in number 3. And it comes in number 3 for a reason. Now, as soon as this liquor store opens, everything behind me, you're gonna see there's this little grassy knoll. And back here, this is where you're gonna find a lot of the homeless, the drug addicts, and chronic inebriates here later in the day. And it's really common to find them passed out on the green surface over here. Now, for the most part, these people are relatively harmless, but they don't particularly look well among the community. Now, as everybody knows, drug addiction, alcoholism, and homelessness is on the rise, and that's no different here in Alaska. And it's just amazing how these people get through the winters. But anyways, we're not here for that. We're heading on in this store, and I'm gonna show you some stuff. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, this Walmart had to install these gates because the shoplifting was just so incredibly high out of this location. These are one-way gates. So if I walk up to the gate will actually open inwards, and it should not open outwards. So if somebody pulls the gate open, it'll set off an alarm. Price of apples, $2.96 a pound. And these really don't look that bad. Chances are they probably came up from Washington. They say Honeycrisp, USA. I'm not sure exactly where they came from, but that's most likely where they came from, is up from Washington. And the other red apples are $2.08 a pound. Now, some of the tomatoes are a little bit short right now, but I don't see any Alaskan grown tomatoes here. But let's see the price here. $2.98 each. That's for these here, which are almost gone. Cherry tomatoes. Now, if you wanted a bin of cherry tomatoes, it's $4.98 each, which isn't overly horrible for this area. $2.98 for the other brand of cherry tomatoes. And let's see if we can figure out where these are from. It says Heavenly Salad Tomatoes. Do not refrigerate. And this is a product of Mexico. Now, we do tend to get a lot of products up here from Mexico because it's just straight south and they ship it straight up. So usually it goes straight up to California, then it hits Seattle and hits a boat from there, and then it's shipped up to us. And I'm not sure if there's a direct route out of one of the ports in Mexico, but chances are these products have to come into the United States first, be inspected before they can be shipped further up the chain. The bananas have been staying pretty stable at 84 cents a pound, pretty much for the entire 3 years of the pandemic and up until now. Now, when they ship these bananas up here to the state of Alaska, they ship them green. I mean, they're really green before they get on the boat. And then once they get up here, they have a chance to ripen. And there's a special process and a chemical they put in the container that helps them, stay fresher longer so they can get to us in a better quality. That way we can enjoy them. For our red and yellow peppers, which don't look too bad, they're $1.50 each. I mean, is that expensive to you or not? And then we have celery, $2.74 each. That's for these bundles right here. These are made from Dole. That's a little greener than I like. I like my celery to be a little bit whiter, but if I was going to make a soup or something like that, I wouldn't mind purchasing those at all. So here I found the Alaskan grown tomatoes, and this is what I was talking about in the last video. And this is a beautiful example of what we can grow in Alaska. I mean, these are fresh. These are just from across town, and we're looking at about $3.20 a pound. The size of these tomatoes, and they're just absolutely delicious. I'm actually a bit surprised that on a Saturday, just before shipping day, that this Walmart has so many vegetables available. So what I'm thinking is happening here is they're shipping some of these vegetables up on the Alaskan, and that way they're getting here quicker to help fill in the gaps for when the weekend boat gets here. Because normally this time of week, we're just stuck with a bunch of empty holes like that, and you don't know what you're going to get when you go shopping. And sometimes we have to go to multiple stores here in town just to get the vegetables we want. especially in the quality we want. One thing I always like to check out when I come to any store, that doesn't matter what store it is, Walmart or anything else in town, is the price of pizza. And for a DiGiorno, we're looking at $9.43 per pizza. Now we do have many other pizzas to choose from than DiGiorno and Sam's Choice, $6.22 per pizza. Let's see, great value brand, $4.98 for the thin crust. And what is that? Oh, $9.72 for stuffed crust, and that is not in the right place. Okay, the thin crust, multi-meat, $7.77. We're gonna scoot on over here to the Red Baron. We're looking at $7.28. So the average price range of pizzas in this state average anywhere from $5 to $10 to $15 in most cases. Now another thing I wanted to check out was back to school snack items. We're getting ready to go back to school all over the country, and Uncrustables here in Alaska are $11.84 per box. And let's see, that gives us 10 Uncrustables per package. And a quick meal after school tends to be something like corn dogs, and we're looking at $8.24 for a 16 count of Foster Farms corn dogs. And the price of Hot Pockets here, I stopped eating Hot Pockets years ago because they're a little too overly processed for me, and they don't make me feel very good. But we're looking at $17.12 for a 12 pack of Hot Pockets. Now another favorite after school snack is chicken nuggets for the children. Now we're looking at $14.98. That's for the Great Value brand. Now here at Walmart, they tend to really be competitive with the competition here, like Tyson, for instance. And they want to stay just under the price of whatever their competition is. So people are more apt to buy the cheaper brands. You know, Tyson is $15 for the same size bag. So this is a product I've been thinking about buying, is Ezekiel bread. And this is also a term known in the Bible. And it's also a product somebody else has recommended to me on a health channel, and this is what they're eating every day. I've never tried Ezekiel bread, so we're probably gonna buy at least one of these. It's coming in at $7.73 per loaf, which is kind of expensive, so I'm not gonna overindulge in the product. But I do like this section overall right here because this is all the healthier style pizzas. And the wife's been buying me, let's see, cauliflower pizza at Costco lately. And man, if you're gonna eat pizza and eat a lot of pizza, you're pretty safe. You're safer eating cauliflower crust pizza because it's lacking 90% of the carbs, and you're getting your vegetables and fiber as you need. But we got some great prices over here for healthy type pizzas. This really isn't too bad for our area. For a smaller size pizza, $9.60. That's like a personal size pizza. And then down here for the other brands, we're looking at $10.44, and we do have some cheaper options available. And one pizza here is on rollback for $8.96. Now that's an extremely thin crust pizza, and it really shouldn't matter too much because when they make a cauliflower crust pizza, the crust is actually pretty thin. So we're looking pretty good over here as far as the coffee. And the price of coffee here in Alaska for Folgers 100% Colombian is $17.48. Now the smaller jugs, they're about $12.48 for the small size, and the even smaller size, which is, you know, kind of hand size here, that's $7.44. And overall, everything in this store is looking pretty good. There's not a whole lot of fronting going on. I see products all the way back to the back of the shelf in most cases, and I haven't seen many shortages, if any at all. And then speak of the devil, we get around the corner to the ramen noodles section, and a package of 12 ramen noodle packages is $4.42. And we've seen a lot of empty holes here. Like I said before in the last video, these products are extremely popular, especially among the homeless camps, because all they have to do is heat up a little water and boom, they got something for dinner. And something is much better than nothing. And over here we do have a little bit of fronting going on and some holes. Nothing too major, nothing to cry home about over here, but we do have some holes and a little bit of fronting going on. And the price of canned vegetables, we're looking for Del Monte, $2.43 per can. Now let's find the Great Value brand. Great Value mixed vegetables is $1.14 a can. And we have other options over here, of course, which we have the Libby's jumbo can of green beans at $2.10 per can. Now if we cut down here to the bottom, the Great Value brand of green beans is 70 cents a can. So the Great Value brand of beans is actually pretty decent here. It comes in at about $1. But the one thing you really want to worry about when you're buying this type of bean in a can is that it has calcium chloride and disodium ETA to promote color retention. Now these things are things you won't typically find in a bag of dried beans. Now I know taking dried beans and soaking them overnight in water in your fridge, it takes some time and consideration, and people just want easy. They just want to take a can and pop the top and throw it in. But if you're trying to live a little bit healthier lifestyle and prepare your pantry a little bit better, I would highly recommend buying the dried beans and learning the process. Now Campbell's Chunky Soup, this is a great product. And I also use these as a base if I'm trying to make other soups or just don't want to cut up the vegetables. I'll add a can of this or a can of Progresso, for instance. And quite frankly, this is most likely the best price for this soup in town. If I go to any other store, this price is close to $5. And same with the Progresso. I mean, we're looking at a rock solid low price of $2.73 per can. And that's amazing. I think the highest price over here is $2.73 for any of these soups. So if you're wanting to stock up your pantry and just have some foods ready to go, all you got to do is pop the top and heat it up in the microwave or put it on the stove and you're good to go. So this is a great place to stack up and stock up on these products, and you know, that way you'll be better prepared for the next earthquake that happens up here. Now it's the weekend and it's summertime, so a lot of people like having steak, and I wanted to show you ribeye steak. Now this is thin cut, and it's coming in at $19.86. That's $19.86 per pound. So this little tiny package here of about 0.88 pounds, that's $17.48 for this little package of ribeye steak. Now the New York steak, we're looking at a price of $21.07, and that's for 1.18 pounds. And that price comes in at $17.86 per pound. We're also checking a little bit of the meat quality here. And this top one, I'm not sure why it's being shown, but it's $13.54, and it doesn't look like the one I'd want to grab out of all of these here, because every single other one looks much better. And the price of that is $7.44 a pound. Now I remember back when I was living in Joplin, Missouri, pork chops seemed to be a staple around that neck of the woods. It seemed like every other week or every other day sometimes we'd have pork chops for dinner. And up here in Alaska, total price for 1.97 pounds is $10.12 for pork chops. It does have a 20-cent saving per pound, which isn't too bad, but we're looking at $4.12 per pound. Now for me, this is one of the oddest displays I've seen up here in Alaska, and I'm not sure what demographic of people would choose a pig head. And I mean, I'm not judging at all, but I've just never seen a pig head displayed in the store like this. I mean, for this pig head right here, we're looking at about $15.80. And that is just interesting and kind of odd in a way, because right next to it we have, you know, boneless, skinless chicken breast, and that comes in at $29.90 each for each package here. And that looks like an 8-pound package of boneless, skinless chicken breast. So over here I wanted to check out the lunch meat section, and this is honestly one of the most easiest sections to become short, especially here in Alaska, because people are on the go, they're going camping, they're going places, and they're looking to grab something quick and easy to throw in the cooler, just so they can get down the road and get to their local fishing hole, wherever that may be. And the majority of people here from Anchorage, they like to just take fishing trips down to the Kenai, or they go north and they fish out of the Wasilla lakes and streams up that way. But we do see a lot of various holes over here, and this is kind of normal this time of year, like I said. Now I'm gonna have to go back and double check last week's video when I did the Walmart walkthrough in my local Walmart, and this looks like the price came down dramatically. We're looking at $8.24 for a 60-count box of eggs, and I believe it was like $11 and some change. So I'll put that number up on the screen as soon as I find out. But I mean, that's good news. If eggs are coming down, I'm happy. I eat a lot of eggs, especially on my diet. Now this over here has always got holes here and there, and it's kind of odd because most of these products over here, like juices and teas and stuff like that, and you know, they're shelf stable. They can stay there for quite a long time. And this whole section right here, this is just some special kind of yogurts, I guess, because you know, I'm just looking at all the other products around, and if you look at the price tags here and try to figure out what it is, yeah, it definitely looks like some type of yogurt and keto bar, chocolate chip. I don't know what that is. That's
So this is a lot of keto products and stuff like that. So maybe it moved to another cooler or something that I'm unaware of, but it just looks a little odd. Now the butter and margarine section over here, this is looking a little weak. There's a lot of holes, a lot of big holes. But down here on the bottom, you can see we got plenty of butter to choose from. And if anybody's into the tub types, you got Country Crock coming in at $5.93 for the tub. And if you go over to Imperial, we're looking at $4.78. And just for the regular Walmart butter, we're looking at $4.66 per package. Okay, so Walmart Great Value water for 40 half-liter bottles, that's $6 per case. Now, a lot of people in Alaska here, we have weird water. A lot of it's red and filled with iron and stuff like that. So people tend to come to the stores and they stock up on a lot of bottled water. Not just that, they're using this bottled water for camping trips and stuff like that. And another thing I wanted to mention is I was advised last week that this store has been under new management. And since then, it really looks like this new management has paid off, because I have honestly never seen this store stocked up like this and looking so good. I mean, even with what little holes are here, and they're very few. Now this section over here is pretty common to be, you know, short this time of year, because people like these little bottles just to add to their bottled water. So yeah, this stuff sells out extremely quickly, and it's just the time of year and the way things go. There's some people out there, they don't even like the taste of water in general, and they just feel like they have to add something in there. So these products, yep, they're extremely popular, and we do have many other options available. So, you know, that works out pretty good. Now Arizona, that is a big brand all across the country. I used to buy these containers, you know, just for the container, because containers are really solid and you can reuse them for multiple things. But the price of this is $4.77 per bottle. Now we are seeing some shortages over here in the pharmaceutical department. Now the majority of these spots here are for like Epsom salts, deep body soap type things. And one thing I am a little bit surprised to see short is hydrogen peroxide. It comes in at $1, but yeah, there's none over here. Isopropyl alcohol, there's only one left at $1.58 for that size container. And if you're out hunting, fishing, and camping this year, I want to recommend to everybody, have one of these in your car. Keep these in your vehicle, in your camper. Have several of them. I don't care. It's good to have many of them. And if you have bought these in the past, go back and inventory what you have, because you might not have what you need, because your kids, your wife, your husband could have dug in them, and who knows what's been taken out. So just go to the store, invest the extra $20. This one over here is $16.78. And just be sure to have something on hand, because you never know when you're going to get a cut, bruise, scrape. Who knows? Anything can happen. And here in Alaska, it's pretty common to get fishing hooks somewhere in your head. I was just talking with another customer, and we were both amazed at how many products are actually here on the shelf. Because, you know, I came in here, I filmed about a year ago, and this whole area was just wiped out. I mean, there was barely anything here. I mean, you couldn't hardly find the Equate brand of cold and flu. It comes in at $6.70. And if you're looking for NyQuil and DayQuil, I prefer this brand. I'm not sure why, I'm just finicky, but that's $22.33 for the 2-pack, and that's honey. Now let's kick your pants stuff, which is the NyQuil cold and flu, and that's if you want to be knocked the hell out in bed for a little while. You're looking at $19 for 2 of these packages here. The Equate brand comes in at $14.54 for 2 of these bottles right here. But overall, I am extremely happy to see a lot of children's cold medicines return to the shelf, because that was concerning a lot of us, because many of us have small children, and we do appreciate well-stocked shelves in our store. Now this area over here, this is where they have all of their travel products. And here in Alaska, people are traveling either by road, by boat, or by airplane for that matter. So a lot of times people will come up here and they'll get off the plane or get off the boat, and they'll head straight to this section right here and pick up some supplies so they can get out on their adventure. So sadly, these items have to be locked up, but I did want to show you some prices of simple baby formula. Now I know some children, you know, they can go through 2 or 3 of these cans a week, and some of the prices here for like the Similac Advanced, we're looking at $17.94, and the bigger can is $32.54. Now we do have some special versions of infant formula looking at $35.18. And over here we have another choice, which is Parents' Choice, at $35.48. Now also down in Missouri, a product that I used to use was for my son, the Infamil Gentle Ease type formula. He was lactose intolerant. He had all kinds of problems when he was growing up, really super colicky, and that's $32.86 here. If I were to have to have paid that price in Missouri, I would have been broke and on welfare. And well, believe me, sometimes I was. So one thing I like to do as a vlogger is I see these random holes, random shelves. First thing I do is I come up and I check what the item is. It's a PS4, Last Kids on Earth. And I try to figure out, okay, well, why is this area empty? And it's pretty obvious. This stuff is easily stolen and sold on the black market, Facebook Marketplace, or eBay for that matter. If you come around the corner here, this is where it all went. It went up into the lock boxes, and for good reason. They just haven't found anything to put in its place quite yet. So Alaskan gifts are extremely popular between the locals and the tourists. They come here and they buy stuff like this. Anchorage-opoly. This is a Monopoly, which is Alaska themed. And many of us here in the state have one. I believe my wife picked up one maybe last year because this is kind of a new product as far as I know. But it's coming in at $19.98. So if you visit Anchorage, be sure to check out your local Walmart, pick up one of these, and just go to the post office and ship it home. And you can have hours of fun with the family and talk about your trip. And don't forget to stop by the t-shirt section here, as we have a whole line of Alaska-based products. Each t-shirt looks like it's coming in at $10.88 per shirt. And also another very popular product here in Alaska is a hoodie. Now, most of us wear hoodies all the time, and we do that for various reasons. One is to keep the mosquitoes off the back of our necks, and the other is just to, you know, have something to put over our head when it starts raining, because sometimes it just starts raining randomly. You can easily wrap up and send home with your loved ones or put in your suitcase, and that's the Alaskan Ulu. The Alaskan Ulu company, it's across town, and I'll probably do a video there at some point just to show you guys inside the store and its location. It's right next to Ship Creek. Now that's where my wife's been fishing every tide right now, so she's asleep, getting a rest for the next tide. And these are a super sharp knife, coming in at $10.96. And if we look down here, we have an even more affordable version, which isn't bad. That's still a nice knife at $6.96. Now keep in mind, not all these products are just exclusive to Walmart. Every major grocery store here in town has a section just like this to shop through for Alaska-based products. I mean, this is a huge industry, tourism, and the locals love these things. Now, I just wanted to cruise through the back-to-school section to just give you guys the basic idea of what things may cost here. The cost of sending one child to school is incredibly expensive up here, in my opinion. I don't remember it costing that much when I was a kid, but you know, that was taken out of our tax dollars, and now they've got the system built slightly differently, so we have to come here and buy all these products and send them to our kids for school. Let's take a look at children's backpacks. For this bedazzled backpack over here, we're looking at a price of about $14.92, and that's pretty average across the board here. Now if we get into a little bit fancier brand, Eastport, we're looking at a price of $19.96. And this one here, we're looking at $24.98. And this is just to give you the basic idea of what things cost here in Alaska compared to your neck of the woods. So this Walmart does have bags available, and we're not going to get one today. It doesn't look like I was charged for excess bags. But one thing I did want to mention to all vloggers is that this little camera up here, when I held it up to the screen, it called for an attendant to come over, and it said possible product misscan. So we had to go through the whole process. She had to scan her card, and then it actually showed a picture of me holding the camera up to the screen, you know, to film exactly what I was paying. Now we had a special request to go check out the electronics section, the TV prices specifically, from a channel that I know pretty well, and she's called Moments With Us. So go check out her channel and give her a thumbs up.
Hey guys, did you see the cost of fuel? I mean, that really gets me fired up, and it gets me fired up every time I see it, because living in Alaska, we see a direct correlation in between who's in office versus our fuel prices. You know, so of course, Alaska's going to vote a little bit more Republican in many ways. And, you know, the native Alaskans here, they tend to vote more Democrat, liberal, because each one serves a purpose. Now, what really pisses me off is that every time there's a Democrat in office, like when Obama was in office and Joe Biden was vice president, our fuel prices were at a record high. Inflation was on the rise. And by the way, Obama was one of the best gun salesmen and ammunition salesmen I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, he actually had me a little bit concerned, you know, because of all the policies he was putting in place on ammunition and buying handguns and stuff like that. I actually went out and I bought a handgun, and I bought a really nice shotgun. But that is what it is. So anyways, yeah, like I said, the one thing that Obama and Joe Biden have in common is directly related to the fuel cost here in Alaska. So when Obama was in office, our fuel prices soared right up over $5 a gallon. While Joe Biden was in office, same thing happened. You know, it went up to over $5 a gallon, and in some cases it's dropped down. But I mean, it is what it is, and I'm just sick and tired of the correlation of the Democrats are for the people, and that's absolute garbage. Now, I used to be a Democrat when I was a kid, and a lot of kids were, because we didn't know anything about politics. And then we get sucked into the Republican Party. So I was a Republican for a little while, and I thought the Republicans were just the cat's meow for the longest time. And once I grew up, and I'm 49 right now, so I started seeing the light. And the light started to show me that these are two arms on the same body. And that's a problem. And it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. This isn't a football game, guys. You know, politics is not a football game. There is no real winner or loser, because the only person that's losing is going to be us in the long run. And these politicians, they're making a killing off of us. I don't care where they're at. And the reason, in my opinion, why Donald Trump got elected in the first place was because he wasn't technically a politician. Now, I was all for Donald Trump getting in, because many years ago I said, you know, Donald Trump should run for president. You know, he's a pretty good guy. He's a good businessman. He could run this place like an actual business. Well, he did that for 4 years. Nobody liked it. They didn't like it for many reasons. He doesn't have a filter. He doesn't know when to shut up. Kind of like me. I just don't know when to shut up. That's not my complete point. I'm not horribly against Donald Trump. I'm not horribly against Obama or Joe Biden. I'm just sick and tired of what happens when one party or the other has a majority in the House, because things drastically change, and they don't always change for the better. You know, as we found out, you know, the Democrats, they put in a lot of crazy policies and stuff like that, you know, to help the homeless, to help the poor. And even Republicans, we're all about helping the homeless and poor. And the Democrats are also putting in a lot of legislation on gun laws and stuff like that. A lot of Republicans are against that, you know, because the Republicans believe in a free market where, you know, commerce is going to do what commerce is going to do. We need to keep our fingers out of it. So, you know, it is what it is. It gets everybody freaked out at times, and boy, I don't know what the hell to think of things half the time. And that's kind of why I'm making these videos, to either create awareness or, you know, just to have something to talk about throughout the day. So I did a little research on these three guys right here: Obama, Joe Biden, and of course, Anthony Fauci. And the research I was focusing on mainly was their net worth. And if you know what their net worth is, I mean, you can Google it if you want. And if you could guess, I would think you'd be extremely surprised by the information you'll find, even from a simple Google search. All right, so we're going to start lowest to highest with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Anthony Fauci's net worth is $8 million. I mean, he was the highest paid government official and was paid more than the president. Now, why was he paid more than the president? I mean, that really makes me wonder. I mean, he wasn't the president and the leader of the free world, so why, that raises more questions and more concerns about Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, another thing I had a problem with, and I can basically go to any political person or anybody in the Senate, and I can find out what stocks they owned at specific times. And that should be public information, because what they're doing, you know, with their money and stuff like that, that's basically our business. That's public record. But anyhow, so I could go to Obama, I could figure out his stuff. I could go to Joe Biden and I could figure out what he was invested in. But Dr. Anthony Fauci, if you try to investigate anything on Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're met with a bunch of word salad, and the majority of that is going to be from PolitiFact. So is PolitiFact trying to hide what the doctor was actually invested in? I don't know. I mean, it just seems really odd that I can't find any information about when he was doing anything in his position as far as to where his money went or where his money came from. Now, Joe Biden, of course, he's our sitting president, and he was also the vice president. Now, Joe Biden's net worth is around $9 million, and he served as a senator from 1973 to 2009. I wasn't even born in 73, and that guy spent that much time as a senator? I mean, come on. Apparently, he served as a senator from Delaware. But anyhow, he also sat as the 47th vice president, and his nickname for a very long time was Middle Class Joe. Middle Class Joe. So he was desperately in need to try to make some money and figure out some insider details, you know, on how to actually make his family wealthy. So, I mean, he did a pretty good job considering he's supposedly at $9 million. I mean, but, you know, where are these politicians getting their money from? I mean, if we're paying him that much to sit as a senator, and then he just rolls into being president, and now he's a multi-millionaire. I mean, we're not talking about just like a couple million, like 1 million, because an average person in the United States can theoretically become a millionaire if they do everything correctly and they don't obtain a lot of debt. And in some cases, even if you do obtain debt, you can actually be in a millionaire status, which isn't really that hard. But now we get into Obama. And when Obama was doing whatever he was doing, and I really don't know the background of Obama because he was just kind of a mysterious person on the stage before he became president. I didn't even think to look to see what Obama did. I just like, who is this guy and why is he here? Now all of a sudden, why is he popular? Now, of course, he got a lot of the minority votes, and he got a lot of the sensitivity type votes because people wanted to see a black person in office. I get that. And something similar is probably going to happen for the first woman that ever becomes the United States president. But it seems like the United States government doesn't want to have a woman in charge of the United States for whatever reason, regardless of popular opinion or unpopular opinion. Now, while Obama was in office, he had a heavy pen and he wrote a lot of policies. And while he was there, he made a lot of phone calls to important people, and he also made some specific investments. Now, his main investments were Smith & Wesson and with Strom Ruger Corporation. Now, why is that important? Well, this guy was making gun laws. He was making ammunition laws and policies and stuff like that, freaking out the entire country, making everybody run out and buy stuff. I mean, remember trying to buy 22 long rifle ammunition? Out of all things, it's just little tiny ammunition, little plinker shots, which is just fun to go out and target practice with. And you know, a lot of people have a 22. We have a couple 22s in our family, and that's not uncommon for most families. That's a great gun to start beginning with, if not a pellet gun or something similar, and that's still pretty close to a 22 caliber. But now Obama's net worth, I mean, it's a crazy number here. You guys might choke on it a little bit, but his net worth is $70 million, and some of that has to do with a book signing he did. He did a lot of public speaking and stuff like that, and he still does till this day. He goes out and he talks to crowds, and he gets paid close to $1 million for every time he's even in an audience. But one thing he was definitely good at in his 8 years in office was selling guns and selling ammunition. So yeah, let's not play the game that Democrats don't like guns, because all the Democrats here in Alaska that I know, even my native relatives who are Democrat, and I love them all, they all have a ton of guns. I mean, we have more guns in this state than you can even think of. I mean, it's unfathomable how many guns are in every family household. So let's not play that game. Republicans, you know, want guns and Democrats don't want guns. That's a bunch of bullcrap. You're fighting the same battle for no reason at all. Let's see here. The American people purchased, wow, that's a big number, $29.1 billion. $29.1 billion in firearms in 8 years. That was during the Obama administration. 8-year span. That's how bad Obama scared the entire population. Now, I'm not talking about just Democrats or Republicans, because it's not just Republicans running out to buy guns. We're talking everybody ran out to buy guns legally, and that's how they got these numbers. We're not even talking about the illegal numbers. Those numbers are probably even higher, because whenever there's a Democrat in office, guess what? The illegal gun sales goes through the roof, and I'm not sure why that is, and you guys can drop me a comment down below and let me know your opinion.